引錄劇場建基於嚟自平常人嘅錄音同埋訪問記錄，訪問同某一個研究嘅範圍、主題、事件有關，啲資料會轉化為演出嘅文本，經常都有參與資料搜集嘅演員演繹。
We go off with notepads and pencils and we talk to people.
My practice is I just record every session we have and then I transcribe that.
In the play, there is a scene towards the end which is taken from a very, very long transcript, and that is edited down from like a 4 or 5 hour meeting to maybe 4 minutes or 5 minutes.
I use about 8% of what I gather.
There are about 20-30 plays in the with the interviews that we had that could be created now.
引錄劇場被視為紀錄劇場嘅一種，喺英國較為常見。紀錄劇場容許某個程度嘅更改同想像，但引錄劇場就唔可以啦。每字每句都一定嚟自訪問，係着重語言質感同內容嘅戲劇形式。咁藝術家喺訪談入面要揾嘅又係咩材料呢？
And I've done enough of these now to know when it's gold or when it's dross, like panning for gold, and they're very easy to recognize, and especially in terms of being entertaining, of making us wiser, and in terms of being theatrical. So suddenly I'm sitting in this room on a cushion without my shoes on, sitting with all these people about to watch a boy being blitzed to death by something from a gunship. But of course that's quite soon overridden by this would make the most fantastic scene in a theatre. These people coming in now and watching this.
I will try to be quite reactionary and so go to an event while it's happening. So, I'm at the riot. Whereas with a lot of other verbatim writers, they will go and do interviews retrospectively after it's happened. I mean, yes, inevitably there are those interviews in my plays as well, but because I'm trying to look for the drama, I'm finding the drama as it's happening rather than after the event. It's just the kind of the odd, the mispronunciations, there's so much tied up in why do they stutter in that line, on that line? Oh, so why did they say it like that? What's behind that?
Some stories which are sort of not quite so graphic seem to me to be much more powerful. Because you're on the verge of something, they're not forced into one particular emotion of being completely revolted by what they're listening to.
And I had a little digital voice recorder and I turned it on and I put it in front of him and I said, "So can you tell me about your daughter?" 5 minutes later, he was in tears. I was just completely emotionally connected to him, and I also knew that was going to have to be in the play. That moment of him breaking down. I know that emotion isn't something that we strive for. It takes us by surprise, as it did with him.
無論引錄劇場定係紀錄劇場，都要求藝術家有高度嘅編輯能力，因為作品唔係圍繞一個主角，而當中嘅受訪者可能多達幾十人。喺芸芸嘅訪問入面，藝術家又點樣建構一個完整嘅敘事？
You have to intrigue, fascinate, lead your audience into wanting to know more about the subject. And so a narrative is really important.
It happened that it's when you've got character and story, then you're off. You've got to find the hook.
It's an emotional narrative, it is a psychological narrative, it's a political narrative. That is something which verbatim theatre is in danger of missing sometimes.
And I think because of this sort of post-truth world, I think people's appetite for forensic detail, tiny little minutiae, has really kind of grown now. It is about where was the gun, where was she sitting, where was her body lying on the hill, how many gunshot wounds, how many bits of paper.
In the way that in verbatim play, so much of it is juxtaposition anyway. That's what verbatim playwrights do. They put one set of evidence against another in order to create a dramatic effect. That's the way you do it, either to create tragedy or humour.
You also have to allow the humanity of that person to shine through. As much lightness as you can get is great, as much humour as you can inject into these situations, because most of them are terrible situations, is great.
On top of that, something which is new. You're after a different aspect, a human aspect, a more detailed aspect, which will open up our knowledge of ourselves. Because that is, after all, what theatre does. It's opening up our self-knowledge, isn't it? And exploring the complexities of human nature.
創作引路劇場嘅作品絕對唔容易。咁究竟呢一班藝術家點解會選擇呢一種形式呢？
I guess it was the effect it had on me of hearing someone's authentic words in the way they wanted to say it, in the time they wanted to take, that made me think. I think if people heard this in a kind of similar way, they might have a different experience of it than they have from reading the news or hearing the hysteria about it. They're not just a refugee, you know. They've obviously got a whole story. Yeah, before they became a refugee.
But the one thing that theatre does better than anything else is you're in the room with that person.
For instance, Angela didn't really have a great relationship with her mother after her lifestyle came known. Her mother and her family were quite respectable. They were embarrassed about this, and so the relationship was fraught. No one could sit down and say to your mother, this is what I do, this is what happens to me, how could we do that? But an actress could take the words and say, this is what I do. And of course, Angela's mum turned to her in the auditorium and said, oh my God, I didn't know, I didn't know what you went through, how this could happen to you.
引路劇場透過真實嘅說話，動搖觀眾固有嘅認知，同時觸動我哋嘅心靈。但唔可以混淆嘅係，訪問唔等於真相。首先，受訪者一定抱住某個立場或者觀點發聲，而作品亦都係經過藝術家嘅編輯而成嘅。究竟作品所探討嘅真相到底係啲咩呢？
Oh, people think, oh, it's so authentic, it's so authentic. There are flaws in it. If I said, I love you, you could put that somewhere else. As long as the words, the person says it. It doesn't matter if I'm saying it in reaction to a question that you've asked me that has a different context. You can change that context in verbatim. So it's not as authentic as it seems on the surface.
Rembrandt does a portrait of an old woman. It's the truth, it is that woman, but it's not the truth, is it? Because he's chosen something which makes that face look how it looks.
I was really inspired by Oliver Stone, who made JFK and, of course, all those great films. And he said about JFK, it's not the truth, it's the alternate version of history.
So, yes, we are getting somewhere towards truth, but you can't talk about the truth because the truth is more complex. You're attempting to tell the truth.
Because it is possible then to argue to an audience that what you are watching is the truth. Obviously it's not, because actors are speaking the words that were spoken by somebody else. Obviously, it's mediated, it's not the truth, but everything that was on stage that was in front of the audience would then be something that I could prove, that I could verify, that I could put in front of them with some confidence that they would be getting as full a version of the story as I could give them. And I wasn't making anything up.
You have to write as well for the people who are talking a different political language. You can't shortchange them. Verbetti said it can't do that. You give a truthful representation of him, as near as you possibly can, as well as the other side, and as well as him, her, them, it, whatever. You're hoping that where those different strands cross, the audience gains knowledge and entertainment.
There's no story like a mother fighting for her children. And we decided to shape it on just telling the linear story of from the mothers. Well, when she was born, this happened. When she was born, this happened. And then cutting between the interviews from the other agencies, the public, the police and the politicians.
And you're hoping that in the mishmash, the collision of these voices, somehow you are more informed and more able to reach a responsible verdict and somehow get nearer the truth about ourselves. But you're not going to do it just through one voice, are you?
引錄劇場喺60年代尾開始發展，2000年開始流行，同當時英國嘅政治環境有關。時至今日，兩岸四地開始製作紀錄劇場，風潮終於嚟到華文戲劇界，對我哋又有點樣嘅意義？
Standards in public life are very much lower than they used to be. There is so much duplicity and cover-up, and people don't resign on principle very often anymore. Politics has become a business.
And I think what happened, from the mid-90s onwards with Labour coming in was a sense of, hang on, they're not telling us. They're not being transparent. There's been some kind of perceived injustice where there's been some kind of scandal or something hidden.
Because I just think artists are the ones to challenge the establishment. Artists have to. If artists aren't courageous, who is?
Yes.
Who can be? Who can hold to account the way we live, if not the ones on the margins?
Who is asking the awkward questions?
What we did with that was unlike in the sort of model of Aristotle's Poetics, where the emperor is in the centre and the people are on the periphery. We put the servants and the lowest of the low are in the centre. It was their story, and that's quite a good, I think, a good way forward in terms of theatre.
The arts is a way of examining ourselves in a much more thorough way than people in public life do.
Theatre should respond to the world it lives in. It should be about, as Hamlet said, holding the mirror up to nature. And so I think that goes back to why this form spoke to people and speaks to people.
You're talking to real people about their lives, which is what politics is. Politics means of the people.
I've been to Hong Kong quite a few times, and it seems to me that what's happening in Hong Kong is really, really exciting. When I was there 2 or 3 years ago, it was full of young people, part of the umbrella movement, demonstrating. And there was a sense of immense excitement of people taking control or trying to take control, trying to get their voices heard. And I think theatre can contribute towards that debate about the society that you're going to live in the future, that is going to be more representative, that is going to allow people to question things and allow people to put their views forward. Theatre can do that very effectively. You will have done a great service for democracy worldwide.